been a tough year on our minds. But you know what can make you really happy? Oh yeah, a French pastry! Yeah! Hey Anton, I bet you some parents have never even shown kids one of these, but they show them lots of love. What, like pushing them on a little swing? Everybody loves a swing. Not as much as a French pastry. Don't be silly. Hey, imagine if Anton was in charge at your home. You can't do that. Yes, make Anton your leader. Oh, come on. Vote for him, and he'll give you a French pastry every week. No, kids, keep your parents as your leader. We can now. Vote for Anton. Put him in charge. Stick with the leaders that God gave you. Vote one. Anton. No. He's for you. Anton's looking for your vote. Do you think you'll make a good leader? Surely it's time for elections to finish. We've had a big presidential election in America. The whole world's been talking about, haven't they? Surely it's time to forget about all that. But actually, Christmas is all about choosing leaders. It's all about elections. It's all about politics, kids. That's right. You might not have thought of it first. Let me show you how from Luke's Gospel, Luke's account of the very first Christmas, the birth of Jesus. Now, in the early years of the 1st century AD, there was one very powerful king, a king of the entire, well, most of the world actually. It stretched across Europe, it stretched across Turkey and down into Africa. It was Augustus Caesar's kingdom, the Roman Empire. It was enormous and it was unstoppable, and no one thought it would ever end. And Caesar Augustus, well, he was in charge of so many people. He had so many subjects under his power, people everywhere. And he would do all kinds of projects to make sure there was adequate water, make sure there were adequate roads, and the Romans were famous for building very straight roads throughout the known world, and they're still around today for you to see them. They also did great big building projects, fortifying cities all across their empire. They built colosseums, they built amphitheatres, places for entertainment. The Romans had armies to fight giant battles, and they conquered the world. To do all this, though, the king needs money to pay his soldiers. The king needs money to collect from all his subjects so that they might be able to have the bridges and the roads and the forts. And to do that, he sends out his soldiers with announcements. That's right, King Augustus Caesar, in the early years of the 1st century, sent out his centurions. And he sent them out with a word, an order, an edict that everybody had to follow. They went out into all the villages, and Luke picks the story up in a nobody town, a suburb like yours and mine, not particularly significant for any real reason. And we're told that in that time, the centurions went out with a message for the whole of the Roman Empire. And it was very disruptive. People were told everywhere that they would have to be registered for the king's census. That they would have to go and find their way back to their hometown, wherever they were born, wherever their father's family grew up, and they would have to register so that Caesar could count them. Caesar Augustus was sending his word out into the kingdom, ordering everyone, everywhere, to go and be counted in his census. And people in Nazareth, which is the town which Luke talks about, this suburb in the middle of the Palestine area, were told that same message. And people came out from all different walks of life, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, people of all different walks of life. Whether you were priests, whether you were important, whether you were just ordinary, whether you had a job or not, everybody had to go and listen to the king's edict, including one man who is of no real significance. And this is interesting because why does Luke tell us about two
nobodies. First of all, a man called Joseph. Now, Joseph was a carpenter in Nazareth. He had a carpentry business, and Joseph was all set up there, working when this news came. And he was there to receive the king's word, the king's news. But he's also at this time engaged to be married to somebody. He's engaged to be married to a girl who, before they got married, fell pregnant, which is kind of a shameful thing for a Jewish girl, part of a remnant of Israel, to be falling pregnant. But in a dream, she'd been told to keep the baby, to go through, and for Joseph to marry her and to not be afraid, because this was God's king, long-awaited king. The Jews, you see, had this expectation that one day a king would come who would rule forever and who would be for all peoples of all time. Now, Joseph's family had come from this king's family, King David in Bethlehem, and they stood there freaking out that something big was happening right at a time when they were going to be giving birth. "Everybody," said the centurion, "must return to their hometown." "You, sir, where are you from?" "Bethlehem," said Joseph. "Well, this ain't Bethlehem, this is Nazareth. You better get moving then." Nazareth and Bethlehem. It's a bit of a journey, it's a bit of a hike at a time when Mary is pregnant and about to give birth to God's king. Two kings counting in our story today, in the account that Luke gives us. Two kings, one the mighty king of Rome and his huge empire, counting everybody, sending out his word so he could take. But God has finally spoken. He has answered his promise, and he has sent his king into the world, his son, to be a king not just for the Jews, not just over the Romans, for all people, for all time, to stand in our place and to fix all our wrong before God and each other. Two kings, one who takes and one who came to give and save us. Who is your king this Christmas? Make it King Jesus.
Who's looking out for me? Got my situation in control, immune to inflation. Stands in my shoes, all the invitation. Biggest brand name, talking up the station. Always with me despite my reputation. Put me front row from the back section. What more do you need to win election?
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Who was and is to come?
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Who's the first and last word said and done?
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Who was and is to come?
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Here's the first, last word said and done. Gal from heaven, became a baby, celebration. Normally, play the way no, keep your shame, Joe. This one can slip out the hate, bro. We wrap him up and keep him warm. All we got is a cloth that's tall. So cold is the room in the heart. For this loser with a rock star.
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Was and is to come.
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Yeah, it's first, last word said and done.
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Was and is to come.
Who's for me? Who's for you?
Yeah, it's first, last word said and done. Yeah, well, who's gonna speak up for those who ain't legit? Eat with those wearing the wrong outfit. Bring equality to such a bunch of misfits. He's for me, he's for you. My God stood in my shoes. Not so serving, but deserving of every pat on the back he's been earning. The greater love can one have than to give his life for a friend. These are short, now they'll ever end. Cause the one who speaks now the fans, now the fans.
Who's
Yeah,
for me? Who's for you?
who was and is to come.
Who's for me? Who's for you?
First and last word said and done.
Was for me, was for you.
Was it is and is to come.
Was for me, was for you.
His first, last word, said and done. See you later. Thank
He's for
you.
me, he's for you.
Was it is and is to come.
He's for me, he's for you.
First, last word. said
Two
and done.
kings in our story today. Both kings counting everyone who was made. One king so he could count and take. The other one counting who gave, and now lives from the grave. Vote one, Jesus for king.
God still loves me, cause Samantha.